Welcome to Second Edition. On today's show, how some NAIT students are taking sports broadcasting to the next level.
Plus, Edmonton tops the list of the most open cities in Canada.
And later, we check out some local restaurants on 118th Avenue serving up some special treats this month.
We begin today's show here at NAIT. This year's Mawji Innovation Challenge is nearly over, and NAIT students are waiting for the results. Teams of 2 to 5 are invited to innovate on a product or service. Students go in blind and have 9 days to pitch once they get their challenge. Previous years included innovating the plastic bag, with the winners turning the bag into an umbrella. This year, the students must innovate on live sports broadcasting, and Cecile Wendland, coordinator for the Mawji Center, says the prizes are huge.
Raptor Mining is our title sponsor, and they have provided a $3,000 cash prize for our students. But the Oilers also, on top of the cash prize the students can go for, we have a tourist autographed cap, Darnell Nurse autographed stick, Cassian puck, a Neil puck.
Winners of this year's challenge will be announced at a reception on March 25th.
Edmonton has been named Canada's most open city for the 5th year in a row in the Open Data Index report. Out of the 41 North American cities that were compared, Edmonton had a 98% average. This means Edmonton had the most open data for public use, free of restrictions, shareable, and you can use it for practically anything you want. Karen Parker, City of Edmonton's manager of data analytics, says other cities are starting to follow along in the open city concept.
So I think we've set a wonderful example, and we're continuing to do great work as an open city, and other cities are starting to catch up to us.
One of the most successful data sets is something you probably use often. Both Google Maps and the Transit app use information from the Open Data portal.
Edmonton's core has been invaded by inflatable giants. The inflatable people are a part of the Downtown Spark event, Fantastic Planet, and are designed to attract visitors. 6 giants have been placed near the city core for curious Edmontonians to discover. Executive Director of the Edmonton Arts Council, Sanjay Shahani, says the figures light up at night and take on a different feel.
You can see them quite differently. There's an ephemeral quality to them at dusk, because there's a play of light and perception. So you can see them almost like weightless things that are floating.
The art will be up until April 12th and can be viewed from noon until 10 p.m.
United for Yeg and the Edmonton Food Bank are joining forces to collect toiletries for those in need. The drive will be held from March 26th to the 31st, and they're asking for items such as diapers, feminine products, oral health, and other basic toiletries. Afia Ramani, the organizer of United for Yeg, says she hopes to help people during the pandemic.
I feel like the pandemic has brought hardships for people economic-wise in all aspects. So I feel like this little organization can help people in some way. It helps people to obtain whatever they need.
If you want to donate, message them on Facebook or Instagram at United for Yeg, and they will get back to you with their information to pick up the donation.
The Edmonton Oil Kings are still undefeated after this week's weekend, and it's all thanks to local Edmonton talent.
And the Edmonton Stingers have signed a new talent for the upcoming season. With more on sports, here's Thomas Wildman.
Thanks, Nicole. Dylan Gunther has been a big part of the Oil Kings' success this season. '17-year-old Dylan Gunther has so far netted a team-high 8 goals as well as 7 assists for 15 total points.
We do have a really good team with strong players, but I think we really buy into our systems, and we play the right way. I think we trust the systems that we have put in place, and we're all committed to working towards that plan.
Gunther and the Oil Kings will look forward to taking on the Calgary Hitmen in a 3-game series this weekend. The Edmonton Stingers have signed point guard Jamal Jones for the upcoming 2021 season in the Canadian Elite Basketball League. The Mississauga, Ontario native had a marvelous college career at Ryerson University and has basketball experience in multiple countries. Coach Jermaine Small hopes he can bring that international prowess to the Stingers.
we kind of grew together. So, definitely the familiarity. He's experienced. He's been playing 6-7 years pro. He has familiarity with some of our guys on our rosters, especially with Adika, who he played with at Ryerson, and he played with Jordan Baker and the FISU team. So, and I just know what he brings to the table, and I know he's a winner.
The Edmonton Stingers will hope to repeat championship glory this upcoming season. The Stingers' first game is scheduled to take place June 5th against the Fraser Valley Bandits in Abbotsford.
Thanks, Thomas. Can't wait for this weekend's WHL action.
And I'm really excited for the summer in Canadian basketball. NAIT students have gotten used to learning under current restrictions, but how is SAIT handling their programs?
To find out how different life is for our southern friends, we've gone straight to the source. Ben Druin has more on the story.
Thanks, Blake. I spoke with a SAIT student to find out just what life is like for them on campus right now. So, how often do they actually have you guys on campus doing in-person classes and lessons?
Actually, a good amount, especially since COVID's being a little bit more lax and the vaccines are coming out. We've been going about 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay, so they actually get you out a little bit more then.
Oh, yeah.
And what measurements do they have on campus to help protect against COVID?
It's something called SAIT Alert. You pretty much sign in with your information, sign waivers pretty much saying, like, are you feeling symptoms? Are you in close contact? Have you been awaiting tests? Stuff like that. And then you put in your information, your contact information, send it, and you're good to go.
Have the measurements that SAIT has taken been effective, in your opinion?
There's been close calls this semester, but it's more of just one of our students were in contact with somebody who has had COVID, but they were responsible, and they just said, "Yeah, I'm not coming to school."
Okay.
And then that's pretty much that.
Was that like somebody actually in your program?
Yeah, it's like one of my peers' girlfriends had COVID, and then he stepped off for a bit. He waited for 2 weeks, and he didn't get nothing, so they keep separated until that's all done.
So, working around all of these restrictions that are in place, has that been challenging for you? Has that been a problem?
Well, it's not easy per se, but I'm learning still, luckily. But hands-on's always easier, especially in technical courses like in SAIT, and I would assume NAIT.
Yeah.
The whole reason for a lot of this is hands-on. It's pretty much the only reason I can do it is because I took 3 years in university. So I'm just used to the grind of the books.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Ryan.
Yeah, no problem there, Ben.
You just heard from our SAIT colleagues. From Second Edition, I'm Ben Druin.
Many post-secondary students are weeks away from graduating and beginning a new chapter in their professional career.
Due to COVID, some of these students have missed out on the benefits of in-person training. With the latest on whether employers are concerned by this, here's our Brandon Desmarais.
I'm here at the NAIT Student Services Center, a normally busy place, now barren with students almost all online. I sit down with Chris Duncan to discuss what outlooks and trends are looking for students exiting school and entering into practice. Is there any concerns from an employer such as yourself with students exiting college and not having all their hands-on skills? With school being virtual, we don't get to do everything hands-on. I'm just curious, are there any concerns from employers?
Well, with all due respect to every broadcasting college and journalism university in North America, you get all of the I think you get great training, and certainly on the theory side. But at the end of the day, when we hire somebody, we hire them based on potential, and typically train them ourselves. So I think you get what you need at the college level. You've got fantastic instructors and profs over there. But when you go into the real world and you start to learn the business, then there's just a curve that goes from there. So to answer your question succinctly, no, I don't think there's any concern about students coming out of college even if they are learning virtually.
Are entry-level students, would you say, more well-rounded now because of online school? Nowadays, we don't get to do as much work in groups. We have to do everything ourselves. So have you noticed anything like that with recent entry-level hires?
Well, we haven't hired anybody in a year, and so I don't know that I can really give you a proper answer on that. I would assume that they're probably going to be fine. I wouldn't be too worried about that. But again, we haven't hired a student at Production World, to my knowledge, in quite some time. But it is interesting. I was chatting with some of your course leaders, and now that they are more aware of what we're doing here, I think we'll probably be hearing from students like yourself, Brandon. We were going to get a couple of students in to do internships, but that kind of fell apart. And it's probably just as well. Once we get back to full business here, then I think we'll be a better spot for a student to come and do their internship.
For second edition, I'm Brandon Demeray.
The COVID-19 vaccines have been released to pharmacies around Alberta for distribution. But how does it look from the perspective of a pharmacist?
And how is the public reacting to the release of the vaccine? Who's currently able to receive it? Owen Monday has more.
With the release of multiple new COVID-19 vaccines, multiple pharmacies around Canada have been getting supply and administering it to patients. I have the opportunity to speak with Pete Davey from Davey Drug Mart.
What has your experience so far been with receiving the vaccine at your pharmacy?
We go back about 3 weeks, probably, maybe a month, and we were notified that we would be involved in the initial rollout of pharmacies in Alberta, community pharmacies in Alberta that are going to be giving the vaccine to our clients and people in the community. It took a couple of weeks to get all the logistics sort of put together with the province, and then we were given notification that there was to be an order through FedEx on like a week and a half ago Wednesday, that it would show up on Friday. It didn't show up on that Friday, so there was a little bit of a rocky period waiting. It came about 5 days later than it was supposed to, so we had a little bit of a struggle with phoning people back and rebooking appointments, but that's sort of how it came in, and we received 300 doses last Wednesday.
What was your customers' response to you guys receiving the vaccine at your pharmacy?
Good question. That has probably been the most rewarding part of this whole thing. My wife was in charge of phoning all these people to come in for certain time slots, and every time somebody picked up the phone, it was almost like they had won the lottery. They were, and right now we're doing 65 and up Albertans, as well as 50 and up that are First Nation, Métis, and Inuit. And the people who are age 65 and up in our province are at higher risk if they get this disease, which makes them really want to get this vaccine.
Well, I really appreciate your time, and my name is Owen Monday with NAIT Newswatch. Back to you.
With bus routes changing next month, many students may have questions.
Our own Cole Mercer has some answers.
Earlier today, I spoke with Andrew Gregory from ETS, and he gave the details about the new bus routes that are coming to Edmonton in late April.
Okay, so my first question is how are these routes changed? Like, what makes them so different from the ones that are established now?
So, starting April 25th, we're unveiling an entire new bus network. There'll be fewer routes, but better service and additional trip options. We have more specific type of routes, a different route numbering convention, as well as on-demand service. So in the central and inner city areas, we'll have a frequent route network. So bus routes that will operate every 15 minutes or better, 7 days a week during most time periods. That includes the area around NAIT. So if you live near a frequent bus route, you probably won't have to rely on the schedule, as the buses will be running quite frequently.
And what was the purpose of these changes? Like, why did you decide to have these routes changed?
Well, our current bus network We've had about 5 years of review public consultation planning. So what we've done is try to provide more frequency in areas where people are traveling to.
Where can students find out more about these changes?
You can go to takeets.com or even new bus routes on Google. Now there's also accessible on the transit app on your smartphone. So there's a way to access all the new routes. So we encourage everybody to take a look, seeing what your new route will be. We also put in new bus stop signs that will have the destination as well. So it really will help people determine where they're traveling to.
All right, thank you very much for doing this.
Hey, you're welcome. Hope you have a great day.
You as well.
Well, that's it for me. I'm Cole Mercer with NAIT Newswatch.
After the break, our Merkel Madron takes us to the bar with NAITSA's online fitness class.
Also, our kitchen Harvard teaches how to make everything but the kitchen sink rice. We'll be back in a few moments. Welcome back. When it comes to restaurants in Edmonton, 118th Avenue has some hidden gems.
And Edmontonians are encouraged to check them out this month. With more on that story, Marco Madron joins us in studio with entertainment news.
Thanks, guys. Yes, if you're looking for a local place to grab a bite to eat, it's in your interest to check out one of the businesses on 118th Ave. For the past month, people have been enjoying the special deals businesses are offering during the Eats on 118th event. This year, the event even introduced something new for people to try.
Eats on 118 has actually started a tour box which contains items from, favorite items from each of the local restaurants on the Alberta Avenue. I think we sold out within a week. I think we sold more than 120 boxes.
The event runs until the end of March, so get in on it while you can. Get yourself stretched out because NAITSA is going to be hosting an online bar class for the NAIT community to take part in. Bar is a workout that uses movements derived from ballet. Typically it's done in a dance studio that has a ballet bar, but the ability to improvise inspired NAITSA to set up the event.
So we've been working with Sarah, I think she goes by Sarah Dawn Yoga, for our events for the last few years. I think it was last month she suggested to do a virtual bar event because bar is actually a really great workout and something that you can easily do at home with just a chair.
The event is set to take place on the 31st of March at 5 p.m. That's all I have for entertainment. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Marco.
Let's head into the kitchen for an easy rice recipe with our own Caitlin Pobersnick.
Oh hey, Caitlin Pobersnick from Second Edition here. Let's make some rice. Today we're going to be cooking everything but the kitchen sink rice, and I mean, yeah, we're not cooking that. You're going to need rice, or else you'll just have seared vegetables, eggs, whatever veggies you have in your house. I chopped mine up earlier, and then ingredients for the sauce that we will make later. The first step is to whisk your eggs. Now after we're done whisking our eggs, we're going to go right into making the sauce for our rice. You're going to want to add 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of salted wine vinegar, then 2 minced cloves of garlic. You can obviously add more or less depending on how much rice you've made. Then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then lastly a splash of ginger powder. Once that's all mixed together, you can throw some oil in a pan and start cooking the vegetables that are going to take the longest on medium to high heat. You're going to want to add your eggs to your veggies, and once those are nicely cooked, you're going to add your rice in and keep stirring, or else things will burn and inevitably lose rice outside of your pan. After that, you can start adding in vegetables that take a little bit less time to cook. Just make sure you keep stirring. used a full bag of sprouts and made sure to give them a rinse before using them. They do shrink down once they are cooked, so you can put a lot of them in the pan. After you've added in all of your vegetables, you can then go ahead and put the sauce in the pan. Just make sure you stir it all up so everything's nicely coated. Then shut the stove off and take the rice off of the burner. Now that that's done, grab a bowl and start filling it up. There you have it, everything but the kitchen sink rice. This is Caitlin Powersnick, 2nd edition.
Thanks for watching 2nd edition. I'm Blake Fisher.
And I'm Nicole Gruber. Be sure to check back next week for another great show. Thank you.